Hey everybody, I'm back. It's been a while. I've been off for a few years. Well, 3.5 for the most part. I had a family tragedy and some mental health stuff I was dealing with. Tried to go back to work a few times, but found more excuses not to work than reasons to stay. My GoPro is lost. Goodness knows where it went. But this wood is so nice, and it's been such a pleasure to work in. I kind of felt like I had to make a video for you. Yeah, I had some health stuff happen this summer. I hit the hospital and cut down my drinking. So I'm feeling like, yeah, my mental acuity's up. I feel like I'm learning again, improving. I don't know. It's been kind of a slow and steady road to getting back to where I was. And, you know, this job, it's such a challenge. You just encounter new stuff every day. And you really, over the years, you develop a lot of tools in order to deal with stuff. Like, you know, I went into a deck from a guy who just who couldn't handle it. It was so frustrating for him having that much wood, and he just wasn't sure what to do. I get that. Like, you deal with some, like, the deckerman puts a lot of freaking wood into that deck, and you have to, yeah, you can't move back, or else you screw yourself over and you get jammed up. Yeah, you just gotta find places for the wood, even if you have to move it twice. Just don't let yourself get jammed up, or the deck controls you. So this is some of the nicest wood I've ever been in, but the conditions are very favorable. So like, the cutting list is nice. I've got a spiral check just up the log. I don't want to spend the time to turn it over. Yeah, so I'm running well, you'll see the machine in front maybe. Yeah, sorry that viewing angle isn't very great, but I got a couple spoons there to... So yeah, running a Linkbelt 3240 with a 622 Series 3. And a few words, this is one of the best platforms I've ever run. There are some issues. So we've got a few of them where I'm working now, and one of them, there's a problem that Inland cannot fucking fix. Pardon my language, but they've been out 4 times. The boom has been locking when the hydraulic temperature gets to a certain temp. So it heats up and then the boom locks. Like, it feels like the boom is sticking on, or the boom up function is sticking on, and so it isn't allowing it to boom down, but sometimes it locks both directions. And there's an associated, like, the hydraulics hammer as well. Like, they just yeah, it's really, there's been a few problems with this platform, like the carrier at least. The head is bloody amazing. The refinements the 622 Series 3 has gone through, just the biggest thing is probably that 3/4 inch saw. It doesn't stick underneath anymore. It's like that alone, and then of course it has the knives. These knives are better limb performance than the 622 series C. So single tree handling, which is honestly most of it. This thing just, yeah, it outperforms. The valve bank has been reworked, and I can see why they're pairing it with this larger carrier, because the head can handle it. Like, it may need the extra flow, I'm not sure now, but the feed speed is increased. The saw goes right through so easily. It's yeah, and the wood this thing handles, just the cubic meters that you can put through this head. I'm not sure what the cost is on it compared to the Series 2, or compared to the, you know, I'm not a boss, even though I took business in school. Yeah, it's, and my dream machine was always like a 622 Series 2 or a C on an 855 Tiger Cat. Like, because I can swing around accurate enough. I always felt held back. I can't see where that one's lining up. I'll bring it back. I want to make it look pretty. Yeah, usually I like have points to measure from, but this is these guys have, because it's such nice wood, they have lengths every 2 feet, and I've got a few of them kind of measured out, you know, like I got the tops of the 61s to my tracks, and the 49s go to the other track, but I haven't measured them all out. There we go. Yeah, so I broke my record twice in this wood, well, 3 times in the last couple weeks. Oh, I think that, let's double check that butt diameter. Yeah, so I did 5 years on the coast there, and you know, I was swinging really well up here in the interior, but I turned out I was having trouble with my eyes, dry eye syndrome, blepharitis, whatever the heck. 3 optometrists couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out for 5 bloody years, and then I returned up north one day. And we were up at altitude, fresh snow, and that night my eyes just killed. So we figured it out, or I did. It was basically chronic UV exposure, like dry eye or snow blindness. For me, not liking sunglasses. Well, now I got medical sunglasses, like medical glasses. They get darker in the sun, and they're polarized. So I haven't had any trouble lately. The lenses are pretty expensive, but yeah, look out for those eyes, because I still have lingering like inflammation, like dry eye from it. Man, it was bad. I'd wake up in the morning and it felt like sandpaper, like right to the back of my eye sockets. It was, I moved away from up north to the island, hoping that the moisture down there would fix it. Also, half of my family was there. Go take care of my father. And yeah, it was like being green again. The decks down there, they just, yeah, it's like adversity every single day. There's the ground they have to deck on is just bloody terrible, and like you really have to go down there with a set of skills. Like the ability to process backwards is definitely an asset, and and deck building for sure, because yeah, it's just day after day of difficult decks. You're just wondering when you'll get a break. And I didn't produce many videos down there because it felt like just every day, like I'd bring out my GoPro and then I'd run into a shitty deck, and I felt like the video wasn't good enough to put online. And yeah, I did finally give you guys one, but that was some pretty ideal conditions, right? Like on fucking, pardon me, my language, on cement. Yeah, and so this is some beautiful wood. Beautiful. It's probably the straightest wood I've ever lived in. Like just like you can get 40-foot core wood out of some of these hammers.
Down the hill there. I just noticed that he must have got another flat tire.
Oh, shit. Yeah, the skidders, like, they haven't been able to keep up in this one. They just keep laying off or firing processormen, and they keep hiring skiddermen. I wasn't getting enough hours, but at least I was working, like, with the industry downturn, and this is I think there's opportunity with this company, so I stuck it out. They've got some pretty good processors, so it's kind of a pleasure, even though there has been their issues, like with the carriers, and the heads are beautiful, and there's like 2 of them are just blazing fast. You know, all these machines are hand built, so there's a little bit of variance in between one and the next. Like they all sound a little different. So 2 of them are just blazing fast. Like I did not expect anything to come close to what like an 850 or an 855 Tiger Cat would be like, but it is. I don't know what the price difference is, but if there's a significant price difference, if they're much cheaper, yeah, I'd definitely be considering this platform if you were considering going with a Tiger Cat. But you know, if you can afford the Tiger Cat, nothing's better. The John Deeres, I think the John Deeres and Hitachis, they've been very consistent when they're low hours. The downtime on those, like I got a low hour Hitachi 210 once, like I think it was 3,500 or so, and you know, with being smooth and consistent, like you don't, if your stick is shaking, you can be more accurate. If your stick is bouncing up and down, you can be more smooth. But yeah, I got what was it? A half a shift of unplanned downtime in a year on that Hitachi. It was, yeah, and it was for a computer glitch. I found a computer. It was my first of 2 software glitches that I found on Warsaw systems, and they've modified the system to fix both of those since I found them. The other one was I found out if you program 40 lengths in the computer, the 40th length corrupts the database file, and I ended up corrupting the database file through one of those work entries. It allowed me to enter some work before the block started, and yeah, corrupted the database. And luckily that one was easy enough that I just started a new block and started a new database for the wood. Yeah, I'm a certified computer tech. That was what I did. And I thought I was going to go into computer science out of high school, but I decided to take a break because I wasn't quite ready to go. And then I did building maintenance for a number of years. Worked for a school district and carpet cleaning. Oh, but like my relevant experience for this was when I was 16. I was a competitive billiards player or competitive 9-ball player. And yeah, I was lucky enough that there was a guy who was teaching lessons who was like a BC Open 9-ball champion, and I have to give some of my lot in life to like his direction. I learned a lot about sportsmanship and what it took to strive to become, you know, to devote yourself to something, to stick with it, and have the positivity to look through your mistakes. Yeah, thanks, Dave. And then I was competing with some of the best in Canada, and I probably could. There isn't really much income that way, and I thought, you know, I wanted to have a family, and there wasn't much there to support a family. Not many people can make a living in that industry, and I realized I wasn't quite ruthless enough. Like, I rather make a friend across the pool table than like crush their ego, which, you know, it's hard when seeing people disappointed with themselves. I decided, that I'd go to school, and I had a boss who told me he'd have me run the business if I went and took a couple years of business school. And so I went in business school. Ended up dropping out of that. You know, life happens. But what am I doing with this log? Talking too much. Think. But during that time, I decided I had a roommate. Like, I've always been a computer geek. You know, I did my work experience out of high school, or in high school, with the network administrator for the district, and it turned out he went pardon my language. He went logging. He became a truck driver. I asked him, hey Sean, I asked him why, and he says the money's better. Yeah, it's more hours a day, but yeah, sure enough. If I had become a computer tech, I wouldn't. Getting my billable hours up would have been. It's always a challenge, like in plumbing and whatnot. That's why those services are more per hour. It's not just the hourly rate that they're working on your gig. It's the travel in between. It's the hours they spend prepping for being at your house. So I had a roommate, and he was a video game player. What was it, Quake? I think he was into, or was it another one? And I decided I'd become good at first-person shooters, and I trained at Halo for 6 months, and I had a pretty good internet connection where I was living. I was right near a trunk line where the fiber went out of the city. And so my millisecond ping across North America was among the best. In fact, almost worldwide. I was very popular. I was hosting game servers. Like, I'm a PC gamer. I've been since I was younger. And get in there. Good little wood. Yeah, so I trained and I got lucky. Like, I decided I was ready to game with a team, like enter a clan. And the first clan recruitment server that I saw up was for a team called EHI. And I guess they'd played on my server. They knew basically who I was and how I played, and you know, I killed him a couple times. Of course, he killed me more, but I was inducted, partly because of my usefulness as a server. My usefulness as a server. So I ended up hosting. You betcha, go ahead. And yeah, I through the networks, I was actually, like, I was already technically inclined, but I learned how to modify the game files for Halo Demo, and you'll see I have those videos up on my channel. That was those were my first videos that I uploaded. Not quite though. Back in my early 20s. I stayed with that team of guys for 7 years, and I think I learned a lot of team skills, like leadership skills. I eventually did lead the team for a bit, like in the later years when it wasn't very active. I never was much for the competition. I was pretty casual. I still devoted hours and hours a day to it, which is one of the reasons why you can do this job. And how I got into this is I had a good friend. I had a good friend out from high school, like my best friend, and he was a little bit more of a bush folk, connected. Like, I was a computer geek, never thought I'd buy a pickup truck, and always thought I'd be driving sports cars till I had a family. But him and the processing crew used to come by my place. You know, my living room was just like a line of computers. But yeah, and they went through a few useless operators, and it took them a year to convince the boss to hire me. And they went through, and even my first season, like, so it wasn't like I was instantly good, like some people are. I think it took 2 years to do my first 1,000 in a shift. I was pretty cautious because I fucked up. Pardon my language again. I had a few. There was a little bit of damage, and they weren't going to hire me back after breakup. But they hired a guy who, like, took a drag, blew a shift, and then slept through the next one. So yeah, I got back in the seat, and yeah, thank goodness. And here we are, 12 years later.
Come back by here,
Okay.
Grab this skidder here.
And I came to the job with the idea, you know, I wanted to devote myself to it. Like, it was a great opportunity. I had gone through a bankruptcy, and there was a good wage here, so I really devoted myself to it. Like, I watched videos and that's why I became a YouTuber, is because I watched YouTubes of other operators, and there were a couple of them, like Josh Laramie was the one who I saw that you could swing into a deck quickly and pick up a log, even though the guy who was teaching me, like, he told me to swing in slowly. And it really does, like, it takes practice, but you can get really accurate in this thing. You don't have to bounce around. Like, I'd go fast, I'd try and go fast, and then I'd switch to going smooth, and I'd go fast, and then I'd switch to smooth, and eventually they kind of just line up where you're fast and smooth. I think how I got my smoothness, like, the biggest jump was I was running this machine called the Hosessor. It was an excavator conversion, like low to the ground, the wide construction tracks. And man, that thing had 23,000 hours. All the cylinders, the pins were just clapped out. It was like the training machine. I had some problems with a couple operators who were blaming breakdowns that I didn't cause on me, you know, and then so I refused to work with them, and I was just running the training machine because they were just toxic, right? And then, you know, the boss knew I was producing enough, and so when they bought a couple used machines, they put me in one of them. And that was the year that I never broke down, and we sure showed those two guys who were complaining about me causing the breakdowns. See how deep those checks run. Yeah, they don't run very far. I think I'm gonna sneak this first one off. These smaller ones will go in here. Yeah, so across the street there, I would have hit 1,000 meters, my first 1,000-meter day, 2 days ago. But there was some balsam, which is a little smaller, and they're short-logged. It's tougher to hit 1,000 a short-logging. I have met one operator who didn't know. Shout out to you, Logan. Yeah, and I've met some amazing operators over my time. You know, they I definitely learn a lot from.
Can I sneak by you here, Mark?
Even like talking to them, like there was one I lived with, even though I never really worked with them, just like learning his mindset. Yeah, I've met 3 operators who hit over 1,300 meters. Friends with all 3 of them. One of them wasn't really much of a processor operator, but more of a skitterman. But just the wood in the machine, sometimes you just, you know. You know, the jobs I've been through lately, you know, it's kind of luck of the draw as far as like management goes, or machines. Like I ran a few machines there. This one job, they told me there's one manager, he hired me saying he'd be putting me in a new machine in the spring, like in a couple months. I was yeah, I think I was having some trouble in life again. And just going to work and running bad equipment, like there's really no enjoyment in it. Like, you know, you won't be hitting any records. There's no striving to do better each day. It's like you're just, yeah, you just kind of lose your love for or passion for the job. It's no fun. Running gear that you know, every other log the feeding stops and you gotta frickin' start again. Sure, the machine might be paid off and I was making money again, so they didn't buy one. So yeah, once I was positive they weren't gonna buy one, I just gave my notice. Found a better job with better equipment. You know, if they'd put me in good equipment, I would have printed money for them. But, well, you know, it's good to be. It's better to not say stuff like that. Better to be humble. There's always someone better out there than you. You can't be good at everything. I strive to be the best in BC, and then I realized I couldn't be the best at everything. And now I'm well-rounded. Like, there was, I trained guys in the interior that when I returned to the interior to visit, 4 or 3 years later, were better than me in the interior, but, you know, put them on the island by then. Yeah, they would have had a few years to learn. There's guys who are better at production. There's guys who are better at neatness. There's guys who are easier on the machine, who are smoother. It's best just to keep your head down and do your job. And help out the other operators. Like, everyone out here, we're on the same team. If someone does a good job one day, say good work. If they build a nice deck, say good work. You know? If they... You know, like Leonard in front of me here, he was nice enough to let me go into this deck. He's been taking more balsam lately. Like, luck of the draw, I got into like more spruce, and he mentioned it, so I kind of eat through the spruce pretty darn quick. So I offered this spruce deck to him. I was going to go into the balsam, but he was nice enough. He's a good guy. You know, been doing it for long enough, yeah. And I was kind of hoping I'd get in here so I could show you guys kind of the nice wood. Well, it's not the best quality video. I'm sure this won't get as many views as some of the others, but hope you enjoyed. Yeah, just anyone who starts up, like, maybe I'll give a few tips for guys who started up. Or for people who are new to even this machine. So this is called a processor or a harvester. When you're cutting down trees at the stump, which you can do by, it's got a harvesting feature, tilting up and down, so I can grab the tree and then cut it off. Leonard in front of me here, he's a harvester. I've never gone harvesting except for a few danger trees here or there. Like, there was one looked like it was gonna blow over in a windstorm, and figured it was better if I just freaking took it down rather than it blowing down on the machines that were parked there. But so this machine, I've got a keypad and a computer in front of me that measures the wood. I better make sure. So it measures the wood very accurately. See, there's that wheel there. Yeah, this isn't a great camera to show that stuff with. But so the wood is brought in beside the road, and I merchandise the wood. So the mill gives me specs, and the specs are based on what logs they want, as per the size of the wood, what species the wood is. So whatever logs go on the truck, it's my job to make sure that they make the mill money. And I have to sort the wood nicely according to, you know, the mill needs certain production runs of the, like, certain logs go into certain parts of the mills, and certain logs go on to different mills. Like some of it will go to pulp, like to make paper or other wood fiber products. For instance, I short these logs when they're squared up. They don't go on the bunks of the logging trucks so easy. So I sort them out for the loaderman. So he can just slam some of them on the trucks, and then the other ones he can be prepared to fiddle with. Because when you're loading trucks, you got trucks waiting for you, and they want to get the loads out quick. Whatever I can do to help them, they sure appreciate it. Sometimes, you know, they'll have a load of trucks or a line of trucks, and it's a real compliment to have him walk by everyone else's deck and go into yours, because he needs the loads to go out quick. And that's another skill that like somebody can be good at, is setting up the loaderman. Basically, you got to consider all the things like quality. You got to consider utilization. Like you just can't be wasting wood. It's money left on the table. You know, you smash around, you smash wood. If you being smooth. Anyhow. So, if you're getting started, the basics are never let your deck get away from you. Don't let the wood control you. So you want to, first off, you want to point your machine down the deck about 2 track lengths. So sometimes these decks, they turn on you, and you have to turn with them. Secondly, your wood is bigger on one end, and that can cause your deck to turn on you. So it'll have a natural inclination to turn that way, and steeper, and you have to develop tools in order to keep it straight. And so with your tracks pointed down the deck appropriately, you always limb to your tracks. So that way, every time you move back as you process, your deck will be moving with you, and it'll always stay consistent. And then, so every time you move back, you want to start your wood out again to your tracks. Don't keep putting it in the pile, or the deck will turn. Every time you move back, you want to make sure the wood is straight to your tracks. I'll just say that again. Like, just hammer it in, because if you let that deck turn, you will have to turn your wood, as in these trees, you'll have to kick them back, and they'll be on an angle, and having to turn every single tree will slow you down, and you will never produce as much as someone who can control their decks. See, like there it is. See how those three, they just turned. So I massage. Give a little massage. Oops. There's a bunch of little tricks to move with, but really, just getting smooth is the most important thing, because then, like, all the little adjustments you do, like, you'll be playing around with your, and then getting your wood, like, all squared up at the butt, like, as if you could put a ruler down it, is what I mean by squared up. It's, I'll do it the next short log I have. Okay, so like with this one, I would maybe put it a little bit further out to this side instead of trying to get it directly lined up with the other ones. I'll put it out to one side. I'll favor that one side. At least this is how you do it until you know you're accurate enough. So those three, I put them all out to the one side. Oh. Good to go by me.
Probably know all the songs from that album, from Blood Sugar Sex Magic. It's Harding, it's Lithium, hello. You may not know every song from the Crash Test Dummies album. Alright,
so all of these ones are sticking out from one edge, and then I just tap them in, boom. So if you ain't perfect, all it takes is a little tap. Just put everything to one side and tap it out. That's one of the reasons why in my other videos you'll see I leave enough room for the head to get in between. It's to be able to tap them. And then with them all squared up, it'll go straight on the truck, and they can get the loads out faster, and it looks nice, and it, you know. Well, I'm sure this video ain't much to look at. I hope my voice at least kept you occupied for a bit. I sure hope all you guys are, can get work through this downturn, or EI lasts you through. It's going to be a little bit of a tougher time with the economics, like with inflation the way it is, with the interest rates up there to control inflation. And I don't know any other words I can say. Don't fall for the partisan politics bullshit. We're all brothers and sisters. We're on the same bloody team, and if any one of the parties were in government for too long, they'd fuck it up. A balance in between the two is actually, like, that's the way to go. It's called being reasonable. Shout out to my Ukrainian friends. I realize you guys got a lot going on, and my heart goes out to you. Really admire what you guys are doing to stick through it. Face of adversity is really horrible, but that's got to go on in the world still. You know, people want to keep a hold of power, and Western ideals were infringing upon their countries, and they had to manufacture us as the enemy in order to stop our ideals from encroaching on their power, from empowering their people to feel free. Freedom is the enemy to them. It blows my mind. But and how about that? What is it? The birth rate in the world's going down finally. I call it the Netflix effect. You know, people have entertainment at night, so they don't entertain themselves with each other. That'll save some of the resource usage. But, you know, I believe in people and the technology. I'm a technologist, and we'll figure out ways to... I believe in human ingenuity. If there's a need, we'll work it out. Not just for monetary reasons, but because we care about our neighbors. God bless. Whatever your definition of God may be.